All right, we are here with the SMRAT tournament, CnEY versus JargleBargle match 2. JargleBargle is up 1 point, so we are on match point. We'll see if CnEY can take this to game 3. Both of our runners have readied up, and we should be starting momentarily. Kenny, all right, thank you very much for that. All right, RaceBot is counting us down. We should be starting in just a couple of seconds here. Our first round match between these two players could have been extremely close. Only a small routing decision ended up giving JargleBargle the lead that they finished with. So I'm very excited to see how this game plays out. I honestly believe that either player could quite reasonably take this. I already gave an intro, but I can give another intro. We are here with the SMRAT tournament. That's the Super Metroid Randomizer accessible tournament, open to all using casual logic, full randomization. We have Kenny versus JargleBargle, match 2. JargleBargle up 1 point. We're going to see if Kenny can pull this out into a game 3. I was just talking about how close the previous game could have easily been. I really do believe that either player has a good chance to win this here. And I'm excited to see where this seed goes. We have both of our players heading down the parlor. Nothing amazingly crazy going on just yet. As well as going down the climb. As we head down to see what our morph ball item is. Let's go early wave beam. And our first item is ice. Ice beam, of course, allowing you to freeze the... Ooh, I don't remember the enemy name. The little flying thing that looks like broccoli. I think it looks like broccoli. Allow you to get that item in the ceiling in this next room over on the right here. Ice is always a very nice find early on. Ice Beam saves you a lot of time in Turian later on in the game, and also makes it pretty easy to climb Red Tower if you want to go check those items up there or do an early wrecked ship. Here we see Morph Ball up in the ceiling, no surprises there. It's not necessarily guaranteed to be Morph Ball. At least, I don't think it's guaranteed to be Morph Ball. Fortunately, JargleBargle accidentally killing the flying enemy. In order to get that item without doing a deboost off of that enemy or freezing in midair, you need to do a triple frame perfect trick, and then you need to get a good 50-50 chance on the collision oscillator. And if you ever thought to yourself, hey, collision oscillator, what's that? The answer is Ask Edie, because I don't understand it, other than that this game's really weird. So, also a reserve tank behind it. Kenny has taken power bombs and looks like they will be going up to check Billy Mays here. 2 items pretty early on. It can be a little bit scary. There are some boulders up there that do, I do believe, 45 damage to you suitless, which is no small amount. But with a little care and knowing the rooms, it's not too dangerous, especially with that reserve tank. Yeah, Dirksu pointing out you could find Screw up in the ceiling there, and then you could have Morph Ball either in Old Mother Brain missiles, or you could have them in somewhere in Terminator is also an option. Although I don't know if that's in this logic. I know it's in logic for other randomizer settings. Up at Billy Mays, we have an E-Tank and high jump boots. That is a very good find to have early on. In addition to just allowing you to move faster, it opens up a couple areas without having to worry so much about wall jumps or IBJ. Sparkly enemies called the Rio. Thank you, Dirk2. I knew someone in chat would know. We see Kenny goes up the elevator. Does not want to check the blue Brinstar item over on the left. I know Meme Route. I like Meme Route. I know many other people don't like Meme Route because it is mathematically provably worse. But I like it because I think it's fun. So we will be seeing, of course, no Meme Route out of Kenny as they head into Old Mother Brain. Presumably going up climb pretty soon. We'll see where JargleBargle goes. Missiles at Old Mother Brain item, and we do see JargleBargle checking this Blueprint Star item behind the Powerbomb blocks, and it is another E-Tank. Nothing super progression essential, but definitely very nice to have, especially if you're thinking about doing an early wrecked ship, which mathematically is actually not a terrible idea, like most of my ideas. They could be worried about their Powerbomb count. That is a very good point, Starisms. Especially because it takes a Powerbomb to check Old Mother Brain, and only having one Powerbomb here can be a little bit tight, especially because Brinstar can be really Powerbomb hungry. It's one of the main reasons why Meme Route isn't a great idea, because checking all those item locations in Brinstar takes a lot of Powerbombs, so with only one Powerbomb pack, it can be pretty tight. Kenny also checking the Dentistry missiles, the Tooth Hurdy or 230 missiles. And Vanilla missiles. Going to take them anyway. At only 5, 0, and 5. Pretty much any miter item is going to be useful here. It does also bring Kenny down to 0 power bombs, which leaves them with no method to enter Terminator without stopping at a ship refill, because I'm pretty sure that those Zoomers do not drop power bombs. First, Kenny's going to go check the Bomb Torizo item. Also, because they've come down here without any bombs or power bombs, unless they find bombs here at Bomb Torizo, there will be required Alcatraz escape. X-ray scope at Bomb Torizo. X-ray scope, of course, actually more useful for a speedrun than you might suspect. Originally intended to help you find secret items, but it also allows you to do glitchy things, which are all banned in this tournament. But there are some glitchy things that aren't banned in this tournament, like allowing you to do stand-up glitch or microwaving bosses with plasma beam, which we can talk about later on if it ends up being a thing that happens. Kenny also taking off high jump boots to do Alcatraz here, very reasonable. That little set of wall jumps is actually easier without high jump in some cases just because it's more close to what you're used to. Okay, yeah, Kenny could do an X-ray climb. you're not wrong. I apologize for that. I hadn't considered the X-ray climb. Also, yes, can help you find your way through some of the more maze-like areas in the game. I do truly marvel at how broken the X-ray visor is from a programming standpoint. It's broken in like 3 different ways that are all useful. It's really fascinating. Just one of the many ways that this game will keep surprising you. It's like, oh, did you know that you could override memory with the X-ray visor? And it's like, oh no, I didn't know that. Here we see Kenny going down into Terminator. Neither players have enough power bombs to be checking Gauntlet. Early Gauntlet checks are also quite risky, so I don't blame them for not deciding to do so. Power bombs at Terminator. We'll see if Kenny checks the back door of Gauntlet, and it looks like they will. You can't grab the items from this direction, but you can at the very least see what they are, which gives you a good idea as to whether or not it's going to be worth it to come back to Gauntlet later on. Or maybe he does have the capability to do it now. Only a missile and super missile, nothing crazy. Not like, oh, I don't know, Varia or something. Runners don't have another power bombs. Immediately picks up more power bombs. That's caster curse for you. Anytime I say anything, I'm immediately contradiction. So it goes. It is possible, Dirksu. That could be the only super missile available. Just the other day, I had a seed with a required spore spawn, which was certainly not what I expected. We'll see if that ends up being necessitated, as CnEY is heading down into Green Brinstar now. JargleBargle taking a second to farm these Kago enemy and all the little fleas that come out of it. Getting a little bit of extra health and ammo. Probably wanting 5 missiles that we can get through the red door into Alpha Supers. In Alpha Supers, we see a super missile in the ground underneath the crumble blocks. At the super missile location, we see more super missiles. Is this even randomized? Here at the reserve location, more super missiles, and even more super missiles behind it. A lot of supers in this seed. It does put our players in a pretty good position here to be doing Ridley chargeless, if they do decide to go that route. I certainly never complain about finding a lot of super missiles early. They do a lot of damage. And it gives you lots of attempts that you can use to fail Wavegate with, Kappa. These runners, I would like to mention, are still quite close. This race is still very close. No super crazy route divergences yet. If you watch early supers, we really want you to have early supers. They're about one Phantoon pattern apart. That's a good way to think about it. RNG could easily take this either direction, and just minor routing decisions, seeing what items they find, in what order. Lots of places where this lead could easily change. CnEY going down to the Edacoon. It's going to say hi to the animals. Farm a few power bombs along the way. Few more power bombs down there. I like to have 15 power bombs when I play randomizers. It gives you enough that you can confidently kill all the Metroids in Turian without Ice Beam, although in this case the runners have Ice Beam. And more super missiles down behind the green door. JargleBargle also heading down the Edacoon shaft. CnEY takes the save here right before the spiker room. These spikes do quite a bit of damage suitless, so this is totally reasonable, especially if you get grabbed by too many frogs. As in many races, I find it's generally better safe than sorry on the save frontier. Although they do make it through the room without any issue. No trickiness there. And the Edacoon item is an energy tank. CnEY thinks about it for a second and says, actually, I would like that. JargleBargle running out of missiles, having to kill all those frogs with supers. Not that supers are exactly at a premium, up at 25. Are they called beatums? They're always frogs in my heart. They hop around and give you hugs because it's a frog. Honestly, the most important and valuable thing I'm learning from all of these SMRAT races is the names of all the enemies. There are some people that really know their enemy names out here. I've been slowly learning the names of all the rooms just through speedrunning this game. We have power bombs at big pink missiles. CnEY decides, I'll save the 6.5 seconds. I don't need to grab that just yet. This Mission Impossible room can be pretty dangerous. Those side hoppers do a lot of damage, as do the spikes, especially suitless. Decides not to kill the side hopper and gets a reserve tank. JargleBargle also heading into Mission Impossible here, quickly dealing with those side hoppers. Down at the charge missiles, we have another energy tank. Quite a few energy tanks early on in this seed. It's going to make this run quite a bit safer, at least in terms of dying. Not that death is an impossibility at this point. Another energy tank at charge. Kenny second guesses, decides to grab it anyway. Personally, I like to get 7 or 8 E-tanks in randomizers, just that way I have enough. I know I don't have to worry too much about dying, and I can do stand-up glitch if I want to. Here we have both of our runners going for the backdoor spore spawn. The sink! Oh, beautiful coming into that door. Vanilla supers behind spore spawn. Both runners do pick them up. We see Kenny going up to check Wavegate. With high jump boots and a whole bunch of supers, the Wavegate check is not too difficult. But not the freest thing in the world. You do have to get a sense for the timing, but you sit in the corner, you select supers, you jump. That looked pretty good on Kenny's screen. I don't have any audio, unfortunately, so I can't be sure. It looks like both players get it together. Synced up again, going through Pink Brink here. Pink Bryn, being rewarded with Space Jump behind the Wavegate. With that, both of our runners do have a method for entering the wrecked ship if they so desire. Easily entering the wrecked ship. I don't know how comfortable these runners are with their CWJ or diagonal bomb jumps. Although, in general, most people not super consistent at that. Just because it is very difficult. It is also worth mentioning because Space Jump was behind Wavegate, that means either Wave is accessible right now or Space Jump is not required for progression, because the Wavegate glitch is not required in the logic for anything. So while our players could enter Wreck Ship at this point, it might not end up being worth it, because if Wave Beam is not accessible, then Wreck Ship is likely not going to have required progression, but it still might. There's lots of unknowns here. Also here we do see Kenny going back to check that blue Bryn Star item that they skipped earlier. I'm pretty sure it was an E-tank. While JargleBargle is checking the pipe missiles here in Green Bryn. Getting themselves even more health. Pretty safe amounts of health here. Base is required by logic to enter Lower Norfair. Yes, as well as gravity. Which means Wave is a part of the progression chain. Yes. One of the lessons that we had to learn when we were figuring out SMRAT races is to get it in our heads, it's like you're never going to find gravity in Lower Norfair because it's never going to require a lava dive. As a GT code runner, it's like, what? No lava dive? Insanity. Of course, I just lava dive in half my games anyway because it's fun. Here we see JargleBargle going down the red tower. And also checking the X-ray visor item. This check does take a while, although it is a good opportunity to farm up power bombs, and there's a chance that they might not be back this way for some time here. Hey, GT Classic is a fun category. You do hard things, and then you get all the items, and then you ruin all the bosses. It's great. Both players here checking the X-ray visor item. And it is a very worthwhile check indeed. I gotta say, folks, I was not expecting this to be finding Varia here. And here I was saying, oh, you know, it takes a while to check. We'll see if it'll be worth it. Oh, it is absolutely worth it for these players. If these players are comfortable in their lava dive, they could go mode lower Norfair right now. They're not going to find Gravity Suit down there, but if they can kill Ridley before going up to do Dragon Infantoon, that is a more efficient route, assuming they can find Gravity somewhere along the way. They do have enough supers to kill Ridley as well. I know that's personally the direction I would be going, as I'm very comfortable with Lava Dive, but we'll see what these runners are going to do. Now, JargleBargle is actually deciding to head up the red tower. Potentially to wreck ship, or potentially just checking Alpha Peeves. We will have to see. Taking out these rippers with super missiles, so you can easily wall jump and space jump up through the shaft. And makes it up without much issue. Kenny also going up the red tower, using Ice Beam to freeze the rippers much more quickly. Did JargleBargle forget that they had Ice Beam? Because I forgot that they had Ice Beam. Gravity can show up at the wrecked ship, but I wouldn't bet on it being... Well, it could be. It depends. Because we're sort of out of order in the logic because we found space jump through the wave gate, it depends on what other methods of entry for the wrecked ship were in Norfair, and also if wave was down in Norfair. It's very possible that Gravity could be at the wrecked ship, but it also could be somewhere in Upper Norfair, or it could be somewhere in Kraid's Lair. There's a lot of places that could check. Also, validating the run, both players grabbing Spring Ball, the best item in the game. We're going to check... Is this beta power bombs? It's the second one, you know? And an energy tank there. I'm calling it now. Gravity at moat. Mark my words. It's gonna happen. People mentioning that 10 missiles is actually pretty low for fighting Fantoon with Dopplers if our runners do decide to go that route. But not impossible. Kenny is going to take the red tower save. Whereas JargleBargle appears to be going to the ship save. The ship save, of course, being a little bit further out of the way, taking a little longer to go get, but it does refill you to full health and ammo, gives you a chance to... Oh, never mind. Jargle's not taking the ship save, instead going back into the other sections of Criteria, perhaps to do some item cleanup before heading into wrecked ship, or heading down. Meanwhile, Kenny finds himself in the moat. Doesn't find anything of great interest at moat, only super missiles. And decides to take a ship save, it would seem. Or perhaps just check some of those criteria items as well. Yeah, so it looks like Kenny is heading up to Volcano here. Not a bad call, it's nearby. And you might find something really useful before heading into wrecked ship, like, say, Speed Booster. If something important is stuck behind the wrecked ship reserve, you need Speed Booster to get it. And having to leave wrecked ship and come back can waste a lot of time. And finds Gravity at Volcano. Holy moly, me oh my. I'm trying to think, is Kenny in go mode now? If they're comfortable doing ice clips to get through to Batoon, I think they have everything that they need, other than they don't currently have a method to kill Mother Brain, but they could do that with more supers or Charge Beam. Yeah, that means that Space Jump has opened up both of our suits here. Be curious to see where Wave ends up. See what the quote-unquote seed intended route was. Kenny also taking a quick diversion to check the Gauntlet item. They did already look at the last two items in Gauntlet here on their way down to Terminator, or down from Terminator, rather. But with both suits and plenty of power bombs, this Gauntlet check not going to be too scary. Acid doesn't do too much damage with two suits. They've got plenty of health. Nothing to worry about. Yes, I do believe this suggests Wave at Spazer Crate or Business Center, although there are other options. You could find bombs at one of those locations. It's also possible that Speed Booster is somewhere around here, or some other method of entering the wrecked ship is available, and then we have Wave somewhere in wrecked ship. Grapple also puts Very on logic, so Grapple could be in one of those locations as well. What was it, Gauntlet? I'm not sure. I also missed it. I think it was just supers. Power bombs in the ocean. Both of our players are now heading into the wrecked ship. Upper Gauntlet is super, mids are super, and missile. Thank you very much for that, DS6101. JargleBargle now entering the wrecked ship. Both suits, lots of health, a fair amount of ammo. Hopefully, this Phantoon is going to be a real dead ghost real soon. Really checking the dead ship spike room missiles. Or vanilla missiles. It actually does decide to pick them up. With this item loadout, I do believe the best method for killing Phantoon is going to be Dopplers, assuming the runners are comfortable with that. And having a couple extra missiles to help you Doppler is real useful in that case. And yeah, you could kill Phantoon using the super missiles and Enrage, but without charge, it would be difficult to pseudo screw through the spirals of flames. You can do it with high jump boots. You can even do it without high jump boots. It's just very hard. Direxu is pointing out that our rudders are still basically just a Phantoon apart, which is absolutely true. The Phantoon RNG, I think, is going to largely just Phantoon RNG, and also how good these runners are at Dopplering or otherwise killing Phantoon is going to determine who leaves this fight ahead. This race has been incredibly close up to this point, which is really, really amazing. Both players making just very similar decisions. And it looks like JargleBargle is going for Dopplers here. Kenny having a slightly better first round Doppler on Phantoon, but JargleBargle entering the fight a little bit ahead. Also, I do believe Jargle has had slightly better RNG up until this point. Kenny looks like they got a fast for round 2. Missed the first eye and are either on a mid slow for the second half. That was, I think, a mid. JargleBargle, I think, is getting a slow right now. Kind of difficult to be paying attention to both at once. Kenny accidentally popping in a few too many missiles, but gets a fast on round 3. JargleBargle's Phantoon, nice and orange, probably going to be red by the end of this cycle. Kenny's Fantoon's a little bit more red. I'd put them very slightly in the lead here. But one good or bad Doppler round could easily change that still. Especially an accidental enrage could change this pretty drastically as well. Of course, if you hit the super missile too early on your last Doppler, you can enrage Fantoon, going into a very long pattern where you can't just damage it at all. And both of our players finishing Fantoon neck and neck. Kenny only a couple of seconds ahead of JargleBargle here. Thank you, chat, for explaining what Dopplering was, because I totally forgot to. Although saying it's not to be confused with the scientific Doppler effect, it's based off of the scientific Doppler effect. It's the same idea. You run at Fantoon while you're shooting missiles, you can shoot more missiles into him more quickly. That way you can get in more damage before he closes his eye. Similar idea. JargleBargle checked left side supers, finds a missile. They're in Fan-Toon with each other. Thank you, AWP82. I do love the puns. Both players now checking right side supers. Finding yet more missiles. Kenny looks like they're quite comfortable beating this game on only 10 missiles, which with 40 supers is pretty reasonable here. They did do all their Dopplers on 10 missiles. Having a few extra missiles does make Mother Brain 1 a little easier. And they will take up the left side super missile. Left side supers missile, rating them up to 15. While JargleBargle heading directly into Spiky Room of Death. Oh no, taking the save. I miscounted platforms. Very common for runners to take the save here. Spiky Room of Death is dangerous. And also, at the end, it's likely you'll find something that isn't very desirable, and then you can just reset to warp yourself back if you don't want it. Kenny, leaving the wrecked ship right away, says, you know what? I've got enough items to beat the game. The only thing I might need now is charge or a couple more supers or something to kill Mother Brain. I'm comfortable leaving. And decides to just get out of there. Also, both players have killed Fantoon at Tracker. And we've lost the stake. Goodbye. Although I do like me some SMRAT divergence. Helps keep the seeds interesting, you know? JargleBargle finds super missiles at the wrecked ship energy tank and says, I don't need it. Not for that amount of time. And resets away. Meanwhile, Kenny begins heading down the red tower. Now, if JargleBargle ends up finding charge here, somewhere in wrecked ship, this could get really interesting. Because it's still very possible that charge or maybe plasma or something could end up here in wrecked ship, and charge plasma is an item combination to really look out for, especially with the X-ray visor. Plasma beam pierces enemies, that is its ability, and you're not supposed to be able to get it until after fighting Botwoon and Dragon. However, in randomizers and such, you can get Plasma Beam early, as well as in GT code. Because of this, these bosses weren't really meant to handle that, so when you hit bombs at Spazer, that possibly opening up the gravity suit in the base logic. But with Plasma Beam, when you hit Dragon, Botwoon, or several other bosses with it, the beam will just continue to exist after hitting the boss, which on many other bosses it doesn't happen. Wave Beam at right side attic. So there it is. Clearly there was another method of entry for the wrecked ship intended, which means Speed Booster should be somewhere accessible. Speed Booster or... I think it's just Speed Booster and Space Jump are methods for entering wrecked ship in this logic, but I might be forgetting something, so I'm not sure. Or Grapple. Yes, thank you. Grapple. I knew I was forgetting something. Anyway, explaining microwaving. So because Plasma Beam can pierce through certain bosses that it's not supposed to, you can use the X-ray visor to pause the game and reset boss iframes, similar to the select buffer glitch in Mega Man 1 if you ever played that. So you hit them with a charged plasma shot, you tap on the X-ray visor over and over again, and you can hit the boss like 20 times with one shot, and it's called microwaving. It can be used to very quickly deal with several bosses, Botwoon and Dragon most notably. Here we see an energy tank at Wreck Chip Reserve. Nothing that is going to be really hurting to miss. As Kenny is heading into Kraid. Thank you. Bomb to gravity. IBJing up to gravity and then doing using gravity to get into Wreck Chip. Because ooh, that is in logic, right? I know gravity jumps are not in logic. But I'm pretty sure you can get into the Wreck Chip using gravity and just wall jumps if you have high jump. Pretty sure. I've always done a gravity jump because I find it easier, personally. You can also IBJ if you have grav. Thank you very much. Kenny doing the dance with Kraid. Kraid, will you go to prom with me? Kraid graciously says yes. And just pumping him full of super missiles. Gravity Forgotten Highway. Yes, that too. I always forget about Forgotten Highway. Funny, that. It's almost like it's named Forgotten Highway. Power bombs at Varia. I'd guess Kenny is mostly just looking for additional beams and charge to get some more damage. Skirt attack and speed booster would also be nice, but are not required at this point. Kenny clearly doesn't run 100%, as you can tell when players are playing randos, because they'll be trying to cycle through their items to get back to their beam, and they'll cycle onto the X-ray visor and then end up X-ray visoring in the middle of a hallway by accident, because they're not used to using item cancel. Sorry about that, getting a drink of water. Both players finding missiles at Kraid E-Tank and the Wreck Chip power bombs, respectively. The power bomb, right? No, it's a missile in vanilla. Oh god, I'm a 100% runner. I should know this, but I absolutely don't. So my biggest embarrassment, you know. Well, I'll just forget about item locations even though I run 100%. Kenny is now heading down into Norfair. I'd be curious to see how much item checking they do, as they do have a method to enter Lower Norfair right now, and with only a little more ammo, could just go beat the game. Smokey pointing out that the only thing Kenny's really missing by not checking Wreck Chip is the Smokey validation, which I would say puts Kenny at a pretty good lead here. If Charge was there, we'd be telling a different story, but with just Wave Beam, it's not going to hurt Kenny that much, although the Smokey validation is, of course, very important. Energy tank at high jump boots. That is true, Link Hero of Time. You typically don't get X-Ray Scope in Hundo until the very end, because it's really annoying to walk around with X-Ray Scope all the time. And Kenny apparently has started running 100% recently, so clearly I was incorrect. I apologize for that. Jargle heading down Red Tower, going to be going to Kraid pretty soon, I would say. JargleBargle skipping Vanilla Bombs. Now that is an interesting choice. Although, upon thinking about it, it's not as crazy as I originally suspected. Because with Power Bombs, you can bomb all the bomb blocks you need, and with Spring Ball, you can do all the little hops you need in Morph Ball. I personally wouldn't be skipping bombs. I think they're just immensely useful to have, but I can see the logic there. Kenny briefly considers and says, you know what, I will take those supers. We haven't found charge yet. Having a slightly higher super count in case we want to do a chargeless Turian could be worth it. Of course, now might be a good time to talk about ammo counts for doing Turian chargeless. Mother Brain and Ridley have the same amount of hit points, while Ridley is 2x weak to supers, Mother Brain is not. So if you want to kill Mother Brain with only super missiles, you need 60 for Mother Brain 2. Mother Brain 1, you want 7, which would bring up your total count up to 70. 60 plus an extra 10 to get you enough. You can supplement that with missiles. If you have a lot of missiles, you don't need as many super missiles. But in general, you want about 70 supers if you're planning on killing Mother Brain without Charge Beam. I personally like to get 75. I think a little bit of wiggle room is nice. But it's not strictly required. JargleBargle does take Kraid to the dance and then takes him out. Kenny finishes checking up Speed Booster. I don't remember what was there. I know I saw at least one super pack. As well as heading on to check Double Chamber on their way down to Lower Norfair. Super outside speed, missile inside. Thank you. Thank God Chad is here, because God knows I'm not paying attention to this. Kenny grabbing the missiles in Double Chamber. It looks like they might have been trying to jump over that and then either second-guessed or made a slight mistake. Skipping bombs but picking up extra power bombs. Thinking face emoji. Here, JargleBargle finishes up cleaning up Kraid's lair while Kenny is heading down to Lower Norfair. They really do let just anyone commentate these things. I was in a Discord server, and they said, hey, we need someone to commentate for 10 p.m. And I said, I'm not doing anything at 10 p.m. And then they put me on a spreadsheet, and now I'm here. It's crazy. And picking up a couple power bombs before heading down into Lower Norfair. With gravity and space jump, not a difficult entry to make. Unless you hit spikes. JargleBargle heading their way through Cathedral, checking Cathedral missiles. Vanilla Cathedral missiles. Kenny does not take the save at the Lower Norfair elevator, feeling confident in their Lower Norfair. With this many E-tanks in both suits, it's not too dangerous. Do some great commentating via snoring sounds. Yeah, there's some of the commentary schedules can be pretty tight just on not always having a whole lot of volunteers. And part of that is because in the earlier parts of the bracket, there's a lot more matches going on. Number of matches, of course, will decrease as people end up getting knocked out of the tournament. So it can be a little bit hectic to find enough commentators early on, but it should get a little easier as things go later. It's some fun admin behind the scenes for everybody, finding commentators for everything. Kenny makes their way through worst room in the game. With Space Jump, it's not that bad of a room. While JargleBargle skips a lot of the item collection in Upper Norfair that we saw Kenny do, and is just heading straight down into Lower Norfair, making up some time, especially because Kenny didn't find anything of great use in that Upper Norfair item checking. Kenny does also skip the Mickey Mouse missiles. They do take a little while to check, so I don't blame them for that. But we'll see if it might end up being, who knows, it could be charge. Those are now known as the SMRAT missiles. Oh, I like that a lot. Thank you, Smokey. Kenny getting past the 3 amigos, taking that save right before Ridley. Oh, look at those lag bombs on Kenny's screen. As a fun fact, the reason why key hunters cause so much lag with power bombs is because they're not just one hitbox, but they're actually like 5 hitboxes all smashed together for their different body parts. Who knew? I'm guessing because they want to be able to animate different parts of the sprite independently, they use multiple different sprites like they use for Mother Brain, and because of that they end up with multiple hitboxes altogether. More hitboxes means more checks that the power bombs have to make to see if they're hitting anything. Here we see Jargle taking the time to super missile the yellow pirates in worst room in the game. Those pirates can be a real pain if you're just needing to space jump past them with that screw attack. Kenny fighting the ninjas, but does eventually earn their black belt. Also, I totally neglected to mention Plasma Beam at Power Bombs of Shame. If only they had charge. If charge is behind Ridley, I'm not going to say anything. I've seen many seeds where charge is behind Ridley in SMRAT. There certainly is precedent. Kenny taking some time to farm bugs here in what I lovingly refer to as the wall jump test farm. Because if you shoot the bugs just on the corners of that platform, you get to do some tricky wall jumps while jumping off the corner to grab them without falling in the acid. Although, of course, jumping up and shooting them above you is just as valid and so many times easier. Now, it is worth mentioning JargleBargle has better health coming down into Ridley, coming close to Ridley here. So it's very possible that JargleBargle will have to spend a lot less time farming, especially depending on what they get for ninja drops. If that's the case, this is a really good opportunity for JargleBargle to catch up, because Kenny could spend quite a long time farming here, and it looks like they're going to, wanting to get up to a pretty high health and ammo count. They only need 30 super missiles to take out Ridley. With 53, they're well within that. They can just spam to their heart's content. And with a full grow of Reggie, they look like they're pretty safe here going into Ridley. The joys of having way more super missiles than you need. You can just shoot as many in Ridley's general direction as you want, and as long as you don't miss too many of them, you can have a pretty fast fight, even if you're not super familiar with Ridley's patterns. Because does anybody truly understand Ridley? I don't know, someone probably does. And Kenny's big space dragon is turning pretty red, probably pretty close to death here, if not dead already. And Ridley is down. JargleBargle doing a little bit of farming. Anyone with the 43, 80% or less fully understands Ridley? Etronized Dragon probably understands Ridley. You got me there. Edie understands everything. I've heard legends that ED understands how slopes work in this game. I won't believe it till I see it, but I've heard legends. Also, we do see a high five here, right outside of Ridley's room. Kenny now only having one boss remaining, having to deal with Dragon and then kill Mother Brain. And I think with 30 missiles, maybe just barely enough ammo to do it. If I do my math properly. They might be a little bit short on ammo. I think just a little bit. If I do my mental math. The low percent runners definitely understand Ridley, because you have to. Yeah, that's what I was doing a bit of mental math for. Kenny having to worry about breaking the glass for Mother Brain's tube. You need, what is it, 10 projectiles to break the glass. Oh, maybe I'm wrong on that. Anyway, yes, he's a few projectiles off. He needs a few more missiles or a few more supers in order to take out Mother Brain. Carefully making their way past the key hunters in their lower door fair escape. While JargleBargle continues to farm supers for Ridley. And we do see a Firefly check. Not terribly out of the way, especially with Space Jump. And it is an energy tank. Kenny is going to take it. Honestly, I'd suspect that they're taking that a lot just for the health refill here coming out of Lower Norfair. Having that full health coming through here makes this whole section a lot less scary. And makes your health a lot easier to manage through Meridia, which I assume is where they're going next. Meanwhile, JargleBargle is into Ridley. Only 38 supers, whereas Kenny entered with, what was it, 53? Maybe a little more. Ridley flying around quite a bit here on JargleBargle's screen, not quite finding all the super missile shots as quickly as Kenny could. Kenny does pick up 5 more missiles here during the Lower Norfair escape, only needing 1 more projectile in order to take out everything in Turian. And checking the Franker Z missiles. And it's vanilla. Is this even randomized? That extra health really coming in handy here when getting past the 3 musketeers. And JargleBargle takes out Ridley. The fragments fall to the ground. Ridley item, of course, just missiles, unfortunately. No charge beam today. Looks like JargleBargle is going to take this time to farm a little bit of health for the Lower Norfair escape. A very reasonable thing to do. In many ways, the Lower Norfair escape can be just as deadly or more deadly than Ridley. A lot of very tricky places, enemies that can do a lot of damage to you if you're not careful, acid. Not the freest thing in the world. Power bombs at Norfair Reserve and super missiles at the Norfair Reserve missiles. Kenny does take the supers, putting them in range to kill both Mother Brain 1 and Mother Brain 2 using only missiles and supers. It is still a little tight on their ammo count. I personally would want to get a couple more supers before going down myself. Considers taking the save, decides, I don't need it, and just starts heading back through Rising Lava Room and Cathedral. Now, if that were me playing, I would have immediately gone down to Frog Speedway, realized I didn't have speed, and then turned around and left and looked like a fool. So good on that. for remembering what items you actually have. JargleBargle now finished farming, starting their Lower Norfair escape. While Kenny starts beelining towards Meridia. Now I'm guessing that... The wave was at wrecked ship. I'm guessing that grapple is going to be accessible somewhere nearby. If Kenny finds it. Either that or speed booster. Here at Ice Beam, we have just power bombs. I suppose Kenny is probably still looking for Charge Beam, in case that shows up. Speed and Screw Attack would still, of course, be convenient to have for the rest of the game. Although, really, Screw Attack is most useful in Lower Norfair, which is behind Kenny. JargleBargle making their way out as well. Kenny goes to check the Crumble Tower item as well. Might as well, you're right by it. Very carefully going through the door so as to not immediately fall down the shaft. Super is in Crumble Tower decides, yeah, I do want those. Oh, but unfortunately, being a little too indecisive, having to spring ball their way back up the platform. Spring ball, for those who don't know, you can hold the jump button, and spring ball will jump on the first frame that you are on the ground. And that includes on crumble blocks. Now, crumble blocks, there are a couple frames where you can jump on the crumble blocks. So if you hold spring ball, you can just easily jump right up them without having to worry about jumping super precisely. And after getting back up the crumble tower, says, you know what, those super missiles have hurt me once, I'm not going back for them. I respect it. When you're out, you're out. Ploff, you already look like a fool. Thanks, Pittsburgh Penguins fan. I appreciate it. Dirksuit brings up an excellent point. It's possible that Kenny does not know the Machtroid clip in Meridia. I know many Redditors, we may take this for granted, as it's not too difficult to learn, but it's not in logic, it's not required. And if you don't know it, you don't know it. And if you don't know it, the only way to get through is with Speed Booster. Now, I'm assuming Kenny is familiar with it, just as they are confidently entering Meridia here. But it's possible they're just hoping to find speed somewhere along the way. DS, no, Zebskip does not strictly require Wave Beam. You can do it with other beam combinations. The setup is just very slightly different, and it can be tricky. Especially because different beam combinations require slightly different setups. For some of them, you want to be angling up into the Rinka. For some of them, you want to be pointing directly up into the Rinka. Here we see Grappling Beam at Mama Turtle E-Tank. Kenny does decide to pick it up. You can use that, of course, to fry the shrimp, the wonderful dragon kill involving the grapple beam, which is faster in most cases than other methods. Also, the tickle beam, very important. Bombs were at Spazer. Grapple also does put Shack Tool in logic. That's another good point. I don't think we're going to be seeing a Shack Tool check today, just as it does take a lot of time. It is possible. JargleBargle checking some of those Upper Norfair items that they skipped on the way down. Kenny does not go to check Watering Hole. There are, of course, 3 items up in that area. Besides, I'll just blast right past them. We also see a save here at Aqueduct. It's possible that Kenny is going to be dropping down into some sand pits here. Mostly looking for charge or potentially speed booster if they're not comfortable with their Machtroid clipping. Or just wants a little bit of safety before heading to Matwoon. Totally reasonable. Here, for the uninitiated, we do see the Machtroid ice clip. You crouch, angle up to freeze the Machtroid in the right position. Then you jump and point down. It'll tuck Samus's feet up, and she'll get stuck in that gap, stand up, and jump through. Very nice Machtroid clip out of Kenny. Bombs for Rattery required wrecked ship wave, wave gate to space jump, and then space jump into Varia at X-ray. Yes. That seems to be the intended logic here. Getting bombs, IBJing your way up to gravity. Here at Batuan E-Tank, we have more supers. I think Kenny's definitely not going to be complaining about that, as they have not yet found Charge Beam. JargleBargle's ammo counts, I've been neglecting to talk about them. They are a little bit low for a chargeless Turian here. At 40 and 55, it's going to be pretty tight if they want to make that work. We're talking about various potential casual routes that you could take through this seed. Here we see a power bomb at the Precious Missiles. Fun fact, this room that Kenny is in right now is called the Precious Room because somebody was trying to say the previous room and it auto-corrected to the Precious Room, and it has stuck ever since. I would be expecting to see a Fry Shrimp kill here on Kenny's screen, and they are selecting the Tickle Beam in anticipation. As JargleBargle enters Meridia. Pumping Dragon with a couple supers on the first swipe there. No reason to not grab that extra damage if you can. Dragon swooping in from the left, making for a much trickier fry shrimp. You can fry the shrimp while facing to the right like this, but it is much more tight. We'll see if Kenny's able to get it here. There we go. Very nicely done. Kenny not checking the Dragon item. Looks like they're just going to be leaving right away. JargleBargle also does check the Mama Turtle E-Tank, finding the grapple beam of their own. Looks like it's fried shrimp for dinner, folks. Oh, I really want to get some fried shrimp. I'm getting hungry. A grapple a day keeps Dr. Dre away. Thank you, Smokey. And it looks like Jargle is going to check Crab Supers here. There's a little hole in the wall there, which is actually quite tricky to get into with the right amount of momentum. If you fall past it too quickly, you'll end up just going right past without ever being able to make it inside. But eventually does get it in. Finding Screw Attack here, and decides not to pick it up. Says, hey, you know what? We're near the end of the game. Who needs Screw Attack? All it's going to do is make my Zeb skip harder. Why not check the item if you don't have charge yet? Essentially, with 45 missiles and 75 super missiles, even without charge, you have enough missiles and super missiles to just kill Mother Brain that way. So, while charge definitely would save time, or could save time on the Mother Brain fight, at this point, it's not going to. You already have enough supers to kill Mother Brain on its own. No point to trying to look for charge. Kenny makes it back through Batuan's room and then remembers, oh wait, I don't have Speed Booster. You can make it through the reverse of this room doing another Machtroid clip, but the setup is different and it's much less well known. So Kenny instead going down the sand and is going to go through Aqueduct. Perhaps can't check the Aqueduct items on the way, since they do not have Speed Booster. JargleBargle into the into the bot wound fight. Plenty of super missiles here. We'll see if bot wound's magic hitboxes decide to give JargleBargle some trouble. Jangle does not have the best ammo. That is very, very worth pointing out. Although now with 40 and 65, I would put them in a much more comfortable position. It's not a ton of ammo to play with, but I do believe it's enough, assuming I've done my math right, which I might have. Yes, Phoenix down. JargleBargle has not killed Dragon yet. They are on their way. Meanwhile, Kenny is heading up Red Tower on the way to the ship. I would expect them to take a ship refill. 45, 2, and 13 is a little light on the supers, especially since you do want to be killing Mother Brain with supers. And is it possible to get 75 super drops in Turian? I'd have to think. 3 Metroids, 2 Metroids, and 4 Metroids brings you 12 total Metroids. Each one drops 5 drops. If you kill them all with missiles, it's probably not enough. No, it's not enough. No way. You get 60 drops, which is a maximum of 60 drop supers if they drop only supers. And you also need to be able to replenish your missiles as you're killing them. Kenny does, of course, take the ship refill, as it is clearly the best way to go about this. You farm some supers by not killing every Metroid in a room and resetting. That's true, you could farm supers that way. So you could get there, it would just take a very long time. Kenny goes down to check the dentistry missiles and then remembers, oh wait, I've already checked those, and then goes back up. All these SMRAT seeds, it can be difficult to remember exactly what you've checked. JargleBargle getting grabbed by Dragon, facing to the left, having an easier time frying the shrimp here. Kenny now going to be entering Golden 4 at around the just shy of an hour and 5 minutes mark, which is shaping up to be a pretty quick time. JargleBargle not too many minutes behind. Depends on how many items they check on their way out of Meridia. If Charge Beam is at Space Jump, it's going to be incredible. Nope, just missiles. Here, Kenny now entering Metroid Room 1. With plenty of supers, you should be able to hundo through all these Metroid rooms. Although I can understand wanting to conserve supers just in case you get unlucky, as supers will be not tight, but they will be required in order to get through Mother Brain. But yes, at this rate, now I'm not going to call the game until the credits are rolling, but I would say that Kenny is in a very strong lead and that there is a good chance we will be seeing a Game 3. I'm not calling it definitely, like, anything could happen. We could soft lock at stand-up glitch, like, who knows? It's not over until the animals are saved, or potentially not saved. Although Kenny does make it through all 4 Metroid rooms without causing really much of any damage to themselves, and at full missiles and supers. So ammo-wise, in a very good position here for Mother Brain. JargleBargle is currently on their way out of Aqueduct. Anyone who's planning to do stand-up should know to save ahead of time right before Mother Brain. Oh yes. Oh, I lost a practice race, like at Mother Brain, and I'm trying to remember how. It was hilarious. I'm trying to remember what I did. I like messed up stand-up glitch somehow, and like died, and I hadn't saved right before Mother Brain, which gave my opponent, who was like 10 minutes behind me, enough time to catch up and win. My last save was like when I was leaving Ridley, so it was incredibly funny and somewhat sad, and I learned my lesson: always save before Mother Brain in races. always save before Mother Brain. That is true, Zeb316. It is much safer with X-Ray. Even if you mess up, you can just stand back up again. But that doesn't mean it's impossible to softlock. You can still absolutely softlock during stand-up glitch, even with X-Ray visor. Most notably by getting the baby Metroid stuck in weird positions, making it impossible to kill. Kenny is doing the smart thing and taking the save. And vanilla watering hole. Thank you, Smokey, for pointing that out. I was talking over it. This does bring JargleBargle up to 45 missiles and 70 supers. We see Kenny demonstrating the waveless stand-up glitch. Not stand-up glitch, Zeb skip, although I end up deciding to go for Zeb skip, where you skip Zebetite skip by shooting all the Zebetite. Although Kenny does have to be very careful with their ammo counts here. It's possible that they will kill all the Zebetite with missiles and then go refill and come back. That does look like what they're going to do here. As you can refill missiles and the Zebetite walls will stay dead. Are you checking to make sure that the Zebetite walls do in fact stay dead? They do. Stand-up glitch can save you a lot of time with the right beam combination. It's not trivial and should not be overlooked. If you have a powerful beam combination and charge, you can save quite a bit of time with stand-up. Although it occurs to me, neither of these runners have charge, so if they did stand-up, it would just be for show. They couldn't actually do any damage. As a fun fact, if you screw attack Mother Brain in the face, she does flash, but it doesn't do damage. It's another thing I learned the other day. Yeah. The more you learn about this game, the more weird little things there are that, you know. There's all sorts of strange stuff in this game. And you're having a little bit of trouble with the SpaghettiOs, knocking him around. But looks like they are going to be able to finish off Mother Brain 1 here with minimal effort. As long as they have 60 supers going into Mother Brain 2, which they do, they should be fine. They can miss 8 supers here and still have enough damage to finish her off. That is true. Mother Brain 3 with Hyper Beam does not take that much time. But if you can consistently do stand-up glitch, it's essentially just free time save that you get. And while it is risky, it is possible to be very consistent with it. Like, I do stand-up glitch in pretty much every run that I do. And I can do it pretty safely at this point. Once you kind of know the pitfalls and you know what to look out for, it's not too scary. Kenny does, of course, finish off Mother Brain 2 with super missiles, which I completely talked over because I was talking about stand-up glitch. I saw him miss a couple, and I was a little bit worried. But clearly they had enough. Not bothering to do stand-up, no point to try for it without charge, unless you just want to look cool, which is completely understandable. Looking cool is, of course, the most important part of speedrunning. But this does mean, because Kenny didn't do stand-up glitch, they get to do the best part of any Super Metroid run, check Twitter. You get to go and check Twitter while the baby noms on Mother Brain's face and chat spams Bible Thump. Speaking of which, get your Bible Thumps ready. The baby's going to be dying pretty soon. JargleBargle taking off both of their suits here so that way they can get maximum damage off this side hopper. The more damage you take off the side hopper, the less time you need to spend getting nommed on by the baby. Rest in peace, baby. You can also get the baby stuck outside of the room. I have seen that. If you like jump high enough, in some weird way, you can get the baby stuck in the ceiling, and then it can't get hit either. You could also, if you are shooting a charge shot when the game gives you the hyper beam, the game will crash. Also, there's some weird way that if you're like doing something with a charge shot when the game gives you hyper beam, or like I think it has to do with the direction you're facing as well. I don't understand it. You can get the game to lag out for a full 5 minutes. I timed it. It's 5 full minutes of lag, and then it's fine. It is wild. There's like so many different ways that stand-up glitch could go wrong, and none of them are hard to avoid. But especially with racers, it's easy to make a simple mistake and ruin yourself. Here, however, Kenny does make it past all of that garbage and is now heading through the escape. The lesser seen parts of Escape Room 1, as they do not have the speed booster to go through it quickly. While JargleBargle goes down to either do their Zebetite skip or missile their way through all the Zebs. Looks like they will be going for Zeb skip with Wave Beam. It's not too difficult. Not too difficult, I say. It's still hard. It requires some pretty precise jumping, and you need to do it quickly. Talking about high-risk, low-reward strats, in many ways, speedrunning is often about doing progressively riskier strats for progressively smaller rewards. As your time gets shorter and shorter, you are forced to go for harder things that give you less time save in order to keep improving. It's kind of just the nature of the beast in many ways. At the beginning, you can ignore difficult strats that save very small amounts of time, but towards the end, you need to go for those things. And with that, Kenny has donned with an official SRL race time of 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 16 seconds. Comment, most hype race run yet. And it looks like they are interested in an interview. We just get them in here really quickly. I don't have power. I'm not powerful enough. Is anybody? Mithra, you can move people, right? Can you move Kenny into the SRA main channel? Hello.
Hi. I keep forgetting that I can actually jump into this room. I'm still like used to letting the mods pull me over.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. So, yeah, what did you think of the seed?
This was the most hype run I've done for a race. I mean, it is my PB by like 10 minutes, I think. Or 11, but most of all, it's the first, so like last week at some point, I learned Mocktroid clip. I got to use it in this. Oh wow, this was a pretty close run too, because JargleBargle's on Mother Brain right now. Nice.
Yeah, only a couple minutes apart.
I hope this was a really interesting one to watch then. The other reason this was the most hype run, race run I've done is X-Ray Room actually lived up to the hype. It's about darn time.
Yep. I was talking like, so y'all were very closely synced for most of the race. It was very exciting. And like y'all went to go check X-Ray Room, but I was in the middle of talking like, oh, you know, takes a while to check X-Ray Room. We'll see if it pays off. And then it was very, and I was like, well, don't I look like a fool now?
No, you were saying exactly what I was thinking. Let me see what else. I wrote down notes while I was waiting for the cutscene since I couldn't do any of the stand-up glitch stuff. I
Sure.
couldn't go for Zeb skip. I know it should have been possible with my loadout, but I was just like, I'm not comfortable doing this. I'm just gonna missile it to death. So I had to go back
Absolutely.
for missiles, and I was really wondering whether going back for missiles was going to cost me the race. And I was like, if that happens, then so be it. Also, I'm looking at the list of items right now. Okay, so
I
I
mean,
didn't visit Crocomire, so that had something good.
going back for missiles didn't cost you the race, but it could have.
Yeah.
You two were not nearly as close heading into Turian, but with JargleBargle found Wave. Wave was at right side attic. And with
Okay,
Wave
yeah, I didn't bother
being
with
able
Attic. I
to,
was like, I'm kind of in go mode, I think, so.
yeah, being able to quickly do Zebutite skip did end up saving them a lot of time, although
Oh,
clearly not
nice.
enough.
Uh,
Yeah, we were talking for a little bit about different ammo counts that are required for doing Turian chargeless, saying that you want around 70 to 75 super missiles to be totally safe, but you can
mhm.
supplement with missiles and that sort of thing. Neither player found charge, and I'm not paying attention to the credits.
It was beyond Crocomire.
See,
And
I'm a
also,
proud
Speed
member
Booster
of.
was. Did he get Speed Booster?
No, no.
Speed Booster was at Screw Attack, apparently.
Yeah. Screw attack often neglected in these races, as it takes a
Yeah.
while to go. Either you need to Green Gate glitch, or you need to fight Golden Torizo, both of which can be tricky or take a while.
Yeah, I didn't feel like. I was. At that point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do go mode plus a few checks that don't cost too much time.
Yep. We were actually talking a little bit about how comfortable you were with Mock Droid Clip, because we saw you checking some stuff heading into Meridia. Someone brought up, it's like, oh, they might be looking for speed still.
It would have been
Clearly,
nice. It would have been hilarious if it happened. Grapple happened, so I was glad I checked that.
Yeah, both
Come
players
to
did
think
end
of
up
it,
getting grapple and frying the shrimp.
Come to think of it, that is exactly one of the races that I restreamed, I think, had grapple in that location, and someone discovered it after they fought Dragon, and I was like, well, isn't that just wrong?
uh, I mean, although you do have plenty of supers if you had to super missile kill Dragon.
Yeah,
That's
like
not
that's
too
what I was
difficult.
prepared to do that, but I was like, oh, well, this is nice, okay.
I was really hoping that we would get to see some microwave action, especially with finding X-ray so early.
Yeah. We found X-ray
Unfortunately-
and plasma pretty early, I think. I forget exactly what
Yes.
plasma was.
Plasma was, it was at, the power bomb. Power bomb's a shame. That one.
Really?
And JargleBargle decides not to save the edibles for shame. Yeah, it was a power bomb's a shame, right? At least I think it was.
Oh yeah, I think you are right, because I was like, oh, well, this makes this slightly less terrifying now.
Yeah. And JargleBargle finishing the race done with an official SRL race time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 13 seconds. GG.
Wow, yeah.
While we all go type GG in like 3 different chats.
Yeah, JargleBargle saying he can't wait to watch the VODs. I definitely want to watch the VOD of this one. The previous one, I'm going to just like fast forward through the 15 minutes where I forgot that High Jump Boots location existed.
Oh goodness. But it was a very good race. Very close.
Yeah.
Did you have any other like grand regrets, amazing triumphant victories from the seed?
I was definitely. So here's the thing that was funny. I was like all along I was planning to go up Red Tower first, and then I was like, you know what? I can check X-ray. Let's check X-ray. Let's do that. And it was Variant, and I was like, it's trying to tempt me into going down Red Tower. I'm still gonna go up Red Tower first.
Sure. Because I know I definitely would have gone Red Tower. I run GT code quite a bit, so I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, high jump boots, Varia, lava dive time. Like just go right down to Ridley.
Yeah, I think more than the lava dive itself, the thing that still deters me from trying that is knowing that I kind of take a beating when I'm fighting Ridley, and also like I actually realized I was like I'm in kind of a bit of danger here because I don't have screw attack, and like the past seeds that I've done, I tended to have screw attack here, so I could just steamroll everything. So
yes. Our main hangup is so you will never find gravity in Lower Norfair because lava dive is never going to be required, which is nice because it means you can usually go through Lower Norfair very quickly, but it also means that you won't get any relief if you go down with only Varia.
Yeah.
We, in one of our races, went go mode lower Norfair very early, with only 5 energy takes, because we were like, 5 energy takes, that's fine, because I'm used to having both suits, and then died a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, if you're gonna go lower Norfair, make sure you have at least 8, you know? Because at least for me, 80 tanks with Varia is quite safe.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like Jargle's gonna be back in a minute, and then
Yeah, we can
if
have a
anything,
little more.
I think he's saying that he needed the call of nature was beckoning, and if anything, that made him go faster.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I absolutely feel that. I have a burning question for JargleBargle. So JargleBargle found bombs and then didn't pick them up, and I really want to know the thought process behind that.
Oh
I'm
wow!
really curious to know.
Did he find that before? I'm pretty sure I found that before Lower Norfair, and I'm assuming he did too.
Yes, yeah, he found it on his way down. You two had very similar routes for pretty much the
That's
entire
pretty funny.
game, with
I was
only
thinking
some
the
minor.
routes could have varied a lot, but I guess not.
Yeah, it was extraordinarily similar. I was very surprised. The only real major route changes were you left wreck ship immediately, whereas JargleBargle didn't.
Yeah.
You did some checking in Upper Norfair before going down, whereas JargleBargle did it
Oh, funny.
after. And
Oh,
then it was
okay.
just like a couple other little things, but like the boss order and like the general route was quite similar.
Huh. Looks like he's about to join the green room.
Soon. And JargleBargle adds the comment 49%. Fun race. I would say so too.
Did we both do 49 then? Because
Looks like it.
Huh.
And
Oh, hey.
hello, JargleBargle.
Hi.
So, what do you think? What do you think of the seed?
That was fun. Charge was in a dumb spot. I wish I got it.
Yep. Neither player got charge, if it's any consolation. At the end,
I wanted. Say again.
Sorry, go on.
What were you gonna say? Sorry.
At the end, I was talking about how you were very close to making a comeback because Kenny did not have Wave Beam going down into Turian, and so had some trickiness going with Zeb Skip, and essentially eventually decided to do Zeb Skip Skip, where you skip Zebetite Skip by shooting all the Zebetite walls with missiles. And there was some pretty serious comeback potential, but unfortunately, it just wasn't quite enough. It was a very close race all the way through, I will say. And you two had very, very similar routes. It easily could have been either player's game at several points.
Right on. I can't wait to watch the VODs. That's what I'm most excited for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be some good VODs to watch. Unfortunately, you have to listen to my commentary for the entire second match, but hopefully I did it justice.
Oh, that's fine.
And game 3 is coming up between you two.
Yeah, we'll have to
I
schedule that
have-
because I don't know if I can do it right now.
No, I wouldn't. That they need 24 hours notice.
That's true too.
But yeah, for this week I'm heading back to the States, so I don't know when the next time I'd be able to do it. It's either gonna have to be this week before Thursday, or it'll have to be whenever I'm back in the States, probably whenever I'm back in my hometown, which is like mid third week of March.
All right. Well, we'll definitely talk in the scheduling channel about that. I don't want Ploff to forget about the question she had for you. Though.
Yeah, I have a burning question. So you found bombs and didn't pick it up, and I want to know the thought process behind that.
Because I already had, I think, like 20 or 25 power bombs.
Yeah, okay. That's very reasonable. I was thinking because with power bombs and spring ball, you have spring ball if you need to make any small hops up anything. And with power bombs, you can blast through all the bomb blocks you need. The only real exception being for getting Metroids off of you in Turian. If you accidentally get grabbed, you want bombs to get them off of you.
Yeah.
But, if you feel confident in your Metroid rooms, if you never get grabbed, it's like, save the 6.5 seconds. Why not? It's amazing the things that people will skip for that 6.5 seconds.
Yeah. I think someone made a joke. It's
that.
like 6.66 seconds.
Like I also saw you skip Screw Attack after finding it.
Oh, where was that?
Screw Attack was at Crab Supers, and at that point it's like, we've already made it past Lower Norfair.
Yeah.
And like, what's Screw Attack gonna do? Make it harder to do Zebetite skip? Like.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to turn it off. I'm gonna have to menu.
Yeah.
I collected so many missiles because I just figured charge is not gonna be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, there was definitely a part where both of you were like, okay, we're starting to think about chargeless Turian. Let's make sure we pick up as many supers as we can.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have as many regular missiles because I miss missiles a lot.
Yeah.
Or I miss supers in that I've died way too many times at Mother Brain because I had 65 supers and I missed 3 or 4. Or like 5 or 6 or something. Whatever it takes to kill MB. I just know if I have 70, I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah, I picked up more missiles in this game than in any other race that I've done because I was not finding the supers when I suddenly like realized I should be picking them up. So
Although both of you had pretty safe ammo counts by the end for supers and missiles there, I would say. It was I wouldn't say it was easy, but it wasn't like super tight, like down to the projectile, you know.
Yeah.
There definitely was some of that, like counting. So exactly how many projectiles do you need? Like, okay, break glass and then kill Mother Brain, and all that stuff.
yeah, I had a leeway of 8 once I got to Mother Brain 2.
I personally like to go
supers?
down with 75 supers, just to, have a little bit of extra wiggle room. But that's just me.
If I only had like 20 missiles, I would like to have like a 75
Yeah.
thing going on. I think actually no, that's not enough. You have to have like 25 missiles. I don't like going down to Turian without charge. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never had to do a chargeless Turian, but I've had several siege that looked suspiciously like a chargeless Turian, and then I'd find like charge behind Ridley or something, and it's like, well, okay, guess we don't need these supers anymore,
Yeah, I did check behind all the bosses because I was like, it could have something I'm looking for.
Yep.
Yeah, I was really hoping because Ridley's had charge so often. So when I killed
Yeah.
Ridley, it's like, oh, he's gonna have charge, and then it's missiles. So I kind of cried a little.
Anyway,
But
GG to both runners.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Do you have any final thoughts?
can't wait till the third one because it sounds like these are super duper hype matches.
Yeah, this is going to be hype
It sounds
now.
like we're screen for screen.
Yeah. I will say I am glad that I redeemed myself in this race after, like I said, spending 15 minutes forgetting that High Jump Boots location existed in the previous one. I was not proud of that, but I also feel vindicated for actually visiting Forgotten Highway because that was what was in logic for the previous race that I had done before that.
Yes. So I would like to shout out, coming up on Speedrunners Arena, we have more SMRAT tournament. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we have Oh Dear versus D-Drag. At 2 p.m., I skipped one. We have Phoenix Down versus Obsolete. At 5 p.m., we have Scotty 6 versus Cross Product. And at 9 p.m., we have Nidorific versus Fuzda, both first 2 matches of that. So if you like Super Metroid Randomizer, if you like the SMRAT tournament, there's definitely more of that coming up real soon. Follow the channel. Keep an eye on where people talk about Super Metroid. We have a Discord, right? Yeah, keep an eye on that. I'm sure people talk about stuff there. And we will definitely be back with more of this real soon.
Yeah, all those matches sound great. They're gonna be like super close.
Mm-hmm.